Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, buddy.
What is up, dude?
Let me close it. Can you hear that laundry in the background? Let me get rid of it. Boom. Boom.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom. Bam. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
It's been a couple of butt kickers, man. A week.
Oh,
so
no.
just up and down roller coasterness, but just the
Like work stuff or what?
yeah, just
the
minutes.
nature of the work, right?
Yeah, just the nature of the work.
Yeah.
Basically. Everything's good, but still, it's taxing sometimes.
I hear that.
Yep.
It's usually not. That's the best part of it. But when it is, it sucks.
Yep. Hey, B.
She doesn't have her headphones in yet. We can say anything we want.
I can still hear you for some reason.
What? Oh, no. Oh, because you don't have them plugged into your computer yet. Dang it.
Can you hear like an echo when you talk?
Not quite yet. I'm sure we would if we do it very
speaker
low.
is in the camera.
Oh, great.
And I'm going to try to get a new camera because mine keeps blitzing out like right in the middle every time.
I know.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
It's really hard to get a new one.
You're joking?
I think they're $8. Remember, mine was like
I think they're $8.
I know it's hard because it took Jason a year.
Yeah, it was more like a year and a half. It was pretty crazy.
I know.
Hey, hold on a second. I gotta talk to my neighbor real quick.
Okay, me too.
Oh no, never mind. He's just using a trash can. I just saw my neighbor walk up, and I got my window open for a change, and I could see him walking up. I'm like, oh no, what is he doing? But now I know what he's doing. Hey, I gotta tell you guys, I have arguably my favorite joke I've ever had in my whole life this week.
Really?
Yeah, it's it might get me fired, but it's amazing. I stand by it either way. So I got to tell you before the podcast starts because it won't make the podcast, but it is something. I don't know if I've ever been prouder of a joke in a moment.
Is it one of your 5 moments or 5?
No, it's not. That's why I got to tell you guys now before we start the podcast because I can't put it in the podcast because of some sensitive information. Nah, it's not sensitive, but it'd be weird in the podcast.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
So there's a guy.
A lot of build up, dude.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Though. I promise.
It's gonna be amazing.
I promise you, it's good. So there's a guy. So we have the way we're set up is I have there's an office manager who runs the day-to-day stuff of the diocese. So he's in charge of insurance, timesheets, paychecks, all the administrative stuff that you guys know I would really suck at. But this is this guy's whole life. This is what he does.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And he and I have had a mixed relationship along the way at different points. Because most of his job is to tell me to stop doing things that I'm doing. So he took another job this week. So he announced to everybody else on Tuesday that he's taking a new job. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And it's an amazing new job and it's a cool opportunity for him. So it's all right, well, that's how it goes. So the two people who are on above him on the hierarchy are the bishops. And so they happen to be in my office at the same time with Allie, me, and the two bishops yesterday morning. And so we're talking, and we're the reason they're in there is for this other reason. So we're talking about it or whatever. And then when we're just about wrapped up, I said, hey, there's something I wanted to make sure I told you guys before I forget. I've prayed about it a lot and I've thought about it a lot. And I just want you to know I'm really happy where I'm at. And I don't I know I'm a great fit for the other job, but I really don't want to take it.
The administration job.
I really appreciate you guys putting me on the short list for that. I'm sure you have, but it's not a good fit. I'm really happy where I'm at. These guys just lost their minds. They had no idea what I was talking about.
Did they not know?
No, it was so uncomfortable. They were it took
thank you, Greg.
One of the bishops got it immediately, pretty quick. And then the other one took another couple beats and then realized I was kidding. And they were so uncomfortable with it because it was so soon. And then Allie made a joke to try to get out of it, and then they ended up leaving. And it was they were gonna leave anyway, but it was Allie's Greg, that was way too soon. I'm if I wait a month, it's not a funny joke anymore. Gotta do it right now.
I
So
was like, too soon.
it was so good, man. It
Too
was. I
soon,
was
too
so
soon.
proud of it. And I
That's
don't know.
good. I like making people laugh as well.
It was so awkward for them too. It was like the best because they had no like they know me, like they know I'd be a terrible fit at that job. So it's just funny, like
But their job is to be compassionate and to believe people. So they were stuck in
so
a middle place
that works
somewhere.
against them in this case. Yeah.
Normally it's a good thing.
But like a lot of times I say really like awkward mean stuff on accident. Sort of. But this one was like 100% like, oh yeah, I got it lined up right now. How often do I get this chance? So
that's good. I try not to make my bosses feel awkward.
yeah, I usually try not to, but I couldn't help myself this time.
That's hilarious.
So anyway,
good job, Greg.
I was proud of myself. Buddy. I don't know. We'll see if it cost me my job or anything, but I think it won't. Probably.
But that would be so minor. They were going to get rid of you anyway if that's what did it.
Yeah. If that's the tipping point, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I was in trouble anyway. That's fair.
Yeah. Okay, what's the order? I got 5, guys.
And we gotta keep it tight because I gotta leave pretty close to 9:30.
All right, let's get rolling right now then. I'll do the intro. Jason, who went first last week, Jason or B?
I
don't know. Let's just do the same thing. What do you think?
I
think Jason went first.
All right, Jason, you go first after I introduce everything.
Perfect.
And then I'll go second.
That's good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, this is This Week in Gratitude, and we are excited to be here. We are rolling right now. We are ready to rock. We've to get together. I am Greg in San Antonio. Jason is Jason in Los Angeles, and Bianca is Bianca in Seattle, and we could not be happier to be together. This Week in Gratitude is an ongoing conversation where we just touch base with each other. We're all pastors in different settings and different places, and so we touch in once a week and talk about the things we're grateful for. There's no real particular order, and there's no winners or losers, much to my dismay, but it makes for a fun conversation, so we hope you listen in and enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please subscribe. You can subscribe on iTunes or on Google Play. And if you do subscribe and you do enjoy it, the only other thing we ask is that you would tell other people about it. It just makes it more fun for us. And we're actually closing in, guys. We're like 2 downloads away from 4,000 or something. So we're really close to our 4,000th download, which if that happens, when that happens, there will absolutely be no prize at all. But it's still kind of cool for us. It's fun. So, but please tell your friends, let people know about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think this week in particular is going to be a lot of fun. I know I've got some good ones. I'm excited to get rolling. So, Jason, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing, it's been a rough week.
I built it up so much.
It's been a rough week, but
I should have asked Bianca. That was my bad. I think I'll start it off with just this podcast and your 2 friendships, just because I don't know, this isn't probably the first time it's happened or it's gonna happen still. I think it's gonna continue to happen, but this is the first time I'm gonna mention it. A lot of times, like when Mary stored up in her heart the message from the angels, sometimes I store up hopeful things, and my conversations with you and just our friendship kind of got me through some rough pieces of this week. If anybody not listening doesn't know what I'm doing, I'm working in this recovery ministry called Northeast of the Well. We go into sober living homes and homeless shelters and drug rehab programs, and we start Bible studies, and then we gather these folks for worship services. And so in 3 different locations all throughout Southern California, like Orange County, LA County. And so with that comes it's a high attrition rate. There's people you invest in like crazy, and you love them like family, and then the devil or evil or Satan, whatever, isolates them and pulls them away, and
they get sucked back into their addiction, and just that's just a difficult piece of doing this ministry. And there was a couple key people that I've been kind of pouring into that just took steps in the wrong direction, and one of them MIA. And I don't know, just the thought of you guys being in my corner praying and coming back together, just being grateful, because I absolutely think it's essential to remain grateful, like gratitude filled. And so you guys carried me through a couple rough patches this week, so I'm really grateful for you guys.
Oh man.
Oh, sorry gosh. To get out. I know. Where
all the rest are just really cheesy,
well, that's good because mine are all like that. Thanks, man. You don't have to open with that. That's we build to that sometimes,
Yeah. Good.
Thank
you, Jason. I like talking to you guys too, obviously.
Yes.
Boom.
Awesome.
Boom.
All right. Well, that's something to be grateful for. I do love. I am grateful for the chance. Like this technology, I thought of this recently. It's just nuts. Right, like when we were kids, it was like, "Hey, someday in the future, you'll just talk on your TV to somebody else." And it's like, "Nah, that's not gonna happen." And then, it went like one night you couldn't do it, and the next night you could, and I was like, "How in the world?" It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and we won't see each other for years and years and years. Yet right. We will still contact each other once a week.
All
the time.
It would help if you guys don't all move away from San Antonio as soon as we become friends. But that's all right.
Yeah, this could happen. Starbucks.
I'm in the same place I was when we became friends. That's the only thing.
You're our constant.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, B, what's yours?
Okay,
what do you got for us?
I'll keep mine to ministry related too, and then I'll save my silly ones. But this last weekend we did a retreat away with the leaders, the volunteers, and just picture who would want to volunteer to be a middle school ministry volunteer? And it's under the definition of angel in the dictionary to me. These people are like the only reason I can do this job that I love. And so to spend a whole weekend with them was just, it was just amazing. It's hard for me I'm not words of affirmation, but I'm really trying. And so I was just really trying to convey how much they mean to me. I mean, I do every time I see them, but to be able to pay for this, like, gorgeous weekend at Camp Casey on Whidbey Island, and like it was a gorgeous weekend, and to provide this like respite for them. Most of them are college students, and so it's like I think they got how thankful we are for them. And then most of it was just hangout time. Some of it was programming, things we wanted them to know. But I am just so grateful I'm grateful for them, number one, but then secondarily, I have to be grateful for this large church that I work in, that we could be able to provide that kind of stuff for them.
Yeah.
I do wish a little bit more of the resources would come from the families that these people are spending time with, like that they would have, we didn't ask, but like that we could be more of a community where the families would provide this kind of weekend for these angels that are spending a lot of their time and energy and thoughts and prayers on these kids. But the Saturday was the full day we were there, and it was sunny and beautiful, and we just, oh man, it was just the best. It's hard not to be, this 1 week I'm ranking them, and this is by far the like best thing that's happened probably all quarter, we'll say. And anyway, so the retreat away with the leaders was amazing, and definitely God led, and God was there, and we worshiped together, and it was just amazing.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Along those lines, this is not my best, but it reminded me, like, in San Antonio, it's finally not 95 degrees. It got down to like mid 80s this week, so it's amazing. Like, it's a totally different place. It's a totally different place now.
Wow.
So,
I think that brings you back to the retreats that we did.
Yeah.
And stuff,
Yeah.
I think
Mo Ranch.
Mo Ranch, and then also when we got the interns and went up to that cabin where the McCaleb's owned.
Yeah. You own that cabin?
Yeah. and it's kind of they kind of oversold it, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, it was out in the middle of the desert, and then there's like this dry riverbed with like a little water, and we were trying to swim in it and stuff. that was messed up.
That was messed up. I remember that.
Laying down in rocks. That was really hot.
So my favorite thing from that retreat, Jason, I don't know, in terms of like words of affirmation, this might be helpful. I did like some kind of like evening prayer one night, like from the Episcopal prayer book. And I was really uncomfortable doing it because we had a bunch of people, like nobody else there was Episcopal. So it was like a strange whatever. And I did it. And then afterwards, Jason was like, oh, that was really great. We should do that more often or something like that. Like it was just, Jason, saying things Jason says, but it was like that words of affirmation were helpful for me.
So prayer books or something.
Yeah. The prayer books is good, but the affirmation afterwards that, hey, our students can handle this and it's helpful for them. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. That's good.
So, all right. My first one is much less serious and exciting, maybe in some ways. Sunday had the chance to be the single greatest sports day of my life. It had the chance. I was going to say it like that.
Oh, okay.
So my oldest son, Josh, is a really competitive soccer player, and he was playing on a really competitive team, and they played Sunday morning at 8:00, and they barely lost. So he played really well. It was a really good game, but then they lost. I was like, all right, well, that's going to cut down the ranking of greatest sports day ever. But then right after that game is a Packer game, and then right after the Packer game is a Brewers playoff game, game 3. And then right after that was the Bucks game. And so the Packers, Brewers, and Bucks were all playing on the first day for the first time in history.
Oh, my God.
Which is insane for me. So
they never make the postseason.
Yeah, this has a chance. This has a chance to be the greatest day. And then Josh's team didn't win, so that was a bummer. And then the Packers crapped the bed, so that was terrible. and then the Brewers did their job. They swept the Rockies. They dominated the Rockies. So
they're going to the division series.
So they're in the division series, and I told you guys last week if they win that series, I would make it one of my 5 best automatically because I'm going to keep doing it as long as I'm allowed to do it because they're still in it. So so that's it. So the Brewers for me, like they're still through, and I love like they're doing some really interesting stuff that I've been arguing for coaches to do for a long time, which is like they're using their bullpen in really weird ways, in really like baseball nerdy ways. So we won't get into that too much because.
Yeah.
Because while Bianca can hang, Jason will get lost in that pretty quick.
I haven't been able to watch any of the games, but I do know about the Brewers.
Yeah, their pitching has been ridiculous so far, and they don't have starting pitching, so it's like it's just the way they have this. All right, I said I wasn't going to do it, but now I'm getting into it. They have instead of like talking about starting pitchers and bullpens and whatever. Their manager just talks about out getters. So he just says there's 27 outs in a game, and we need to get 27 outs. So what's the best way for us to get those 27 outs? And when you start to talk that way, then you realize like, oh, maybe one guy trying to go 7 innings isn't the best way to do that. Maybe getting 3 outs from this guy in the bullpen could happen just as easily in the first inning as it could in the 7th inning, right? And so then you start to you can restructure all of it. So it's kind of fun. It's been cool to watch. Bianca, you're gonna hate it when it finally happens for you guys, but I cannot believe how intense it is.
Yeah, the playoff baseball
is too much. It's every pitch is like
so much.
We weren't even like in close games yet, really.
I know. Every pitch matters.
Oh man!
And then the crowd is just yelling the whole time. Imagine being there.
It's simultaneously the best and worst thing. It's amazing. I don't know. I'm not sure I love it yet, but as long as we keep winning, I'm excited.
An exorbitant amount of money to be in Safeco Field if this were me.
Absolutely should do that.
Yeah.
I saw something that made me think of you that made me sad, B.
Oh gosh, yeah. Great setup.
So they're remaking Rookie of the Year, or they're gonna remake Rookie of the Year.
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah.
I know, me too. But in that movie, he pitches for the Cubs, right? And so they had to figure out a different franchise.
Bad team.
That
no.
Use. Yeah. And the Mariners are one of the teams on the list. So I'm sorry about that.
Worse than the Pods. Oh god.
Sorry, man. It's not a finalized thing, but I saw it and thought just that you're on that list is sad.
I know. It's good to know where I stand, and then we'll show them all one day.
There you go.
Oh god. Start from the bottom. Jay?
Yeah, I gotta try this thing. Just try like in Get Out.
What?
Hello?
We missed the beginning of the question.
Yeah, we missed what you were saying, Jason.
Oh, I was asking, is the Brewers coach the first coach to think of this?
It's happened at different points, kind of. He's really the first guy who's like gone all in on it. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Like,
I like that. I like it when people try and think of different stuff.
yeah.
The Cal Bears, they're kind of going to lose again for a million other reasons. But this coach that's like coaching his second season, he started off the season trying something that nobody's ever done, having two quarterbacks and just switching them in the middle of just downs. And I thought it was like, I like it when people try and who knows if it's gonna.
Yeah,
you might as well try it. You know what I mean?
Work within the rule book and see what you can do. Yeah,
and it was two different quarterbacks that totally had different strengths. One was just like a stud, like running back.
Yeah. So you force the defense to adjust immediately.
Yeah. And he switched it in the middle of downs, and all the commentators was like, "I hate this. This is dumb. There's no way that you can get in the rhythm and stuff like that."
That's happening in the Brewers series too. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch the games yet, but the announcers are just mad about it. Like they just they don't like it, and it's like, oh my gosh, you guys, like you just like he's exploiting an inefficiency, and he's they're dominating because of it, and you can't enjoy it.
Yeah, baseball is nothing if not tradition. So
oh man, yeah, that's a good call, Jason.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, my number 2. It's you know those moments. It seems like God does stuff for you, or like I gotten in the habit of putting on my hiking boots and looking as ridiculous as possible, and I live right next to this hill. And so I wear these short shorts, wear a headband, wristbands, and like just kind of look as dumb as possible, kind of to make my wife mad.
I can imagine it. I can imagine it, Jason.
You can imagine it. You've had nightmares. Anyway,
I've played basketball.
I walk up and down the hill after work sometimes. The few nights that I get home, and I get to spend a little time with the fam. They play video games or something like that after their homework. I go and hike this hill that's right next to my house, and then we come back and then we read and do the bedtime stuff. But I'm hiking up this hill, and I just gotten to the bottom, and I was turning around, and an SUV it's around this corner. It pulls around this corner and just yelling. There's a woman hanging out, kind of half out the passenger side, going, "Jason!" And I was like, what is going on? I was just like going, what is going on? And it was my coworker. I'm one of 3 preachers at this northeast of the well where I work. Laura's my boss, and my teammate is a woman named Gina, and she lives down south in South County where I live. And it was her, and she's our age, and she, I totally acted out of character, like undignified. Like I felt like I was in high school, and like I was a popular kid, and there's somebody cheering for me, and I was just like, that is crazy, because I was walking to clear out my head and work through some of the just the ups and downs of working with this ministry. And it was almost like I've just started doing this. Is like my 4th or 5th time walking this hill. Orange County is really big, and just the chance of her driving by where it felt like that one of those. And we've all I think we've all had them, where there's those moments where I think God puts together pieces of puzzles for no other reason, just to put a smile on her face, or just to bring joy, like to bring just some encouragement right when it's needed, or just to let you know, I got you, like, I love you. That, I love those moments, and it was cool to have one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one, Jason. That's a good one. The spontaneous joy of somebody else is always not always, but usually really fun.
and the randomness actually plays a part in it too. Like,
it makes it even better.
It's just weird that I was walking at that time, and she was driving not in her own neighborhood. She was actually driving to a volleyball game of her daughter's. Anyway, yeah, it just was weird.
I think that's one of the secrets of why college is amazing. because that happens like 9 times a day in
Yeah.
college.
It
And
does.
every time it feels like, oh, it's so random to see you here. I mean, we go to the same college and we live in the same place,
We just had breakfast together.
but it's still like awesome when it happens. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what are the odds of seeing you in the cafeteria where we both eat lunch every day?
Yeah, that's good. I'll go, and this is, I just split one thing into two. So this is a follow-up to the leader thing. And mine is, I've been here long enough doing middle school ministry that some of my middle schoolers have graduated from high school and are now my volunteers, which is like nuts, just crazy. And so this is a new territory for me, and I'm loving it. And it's just the joy of, you know, at first they were my students and now we're like becoming friends. And I know Jason had told me that happens, and I'd seen it happen in Jason's life. I was thinking more like Adam Hurlson, you know, you were like, oh yeah, he was a student and now we're friends. I'm like, that's way too far. That'll never happen to me. And so
Nobody will ever be my friend.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna be friends with my constituents. But yeah, these leaders are like, I remember when they were in middle school and they want to watch all their demo videos that they used to make, you know, and now they're like freshmen and sophomores in college, and you know, and I get to be their pastor again, and I just in a different stage in their life, you know, but it's still the same family, still the same brothers and parents that I've always known they had. And it's just a cool thing that's happening. And right now it's good. I can see, you know, it could be different for other people, but right now it's really good. And I'm really grateful I didn't predict this. I forgot about this aspect of doing middle
That's
school
so
ministry.
awesome.
Yeah, and so I work really close to a college, and a lot of students go to that college, and so it makes sense. You know, they grew up around here, they go to this college, and they want to help out with the middle schoolers again. So anyway, I'm grateful for it, and I'm sure y'all have seen that happen in your lives too.
Yeah, it's the best stuff.
Yeah.
It's really the only real advantage to staying in one place for a long time.
Yeah.
Or it's like the
Yeah.
biggest advantage of staying in one place for a long time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool that that's happening now.
Yeah, that is cool, because I think Greg and I have both had it as our, you know, 5 grateful things. But I think it's the first time that that's awesome. That's really, really neat. It's one of my favorite pieces of ministry. Like just watching people outgrow you, even, you know, my friend Steve Atkins, I think I've quoted him already on this before, but he always says, you know, your kids are like arrows. You can shoot them way further than you can go. And I think that's true of ministry, like people you've discipled, and that's cool. I love that part of it.
It's awesome to have a second chance at it too, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's really cool. Like because of the stages of life that they're in, especially in your case, Speed, that's so cool. Like to help form them when they're so young, and then to help shape them again when they're a little older, hopefully slightly more mature, and asking a different set of questions now, right? Like that's cool to be able to speak in their life in both those places.
Yeah.
And not surprising that you would knock that out of the park. That's awesome.
So far.
It doesn't matter. You're going to be awesome with that part. I love that. That's awesome. All right. Speaking of things that we enjoyed once that have come back around into our life.
Great transition.
Flight of the Conchords is back. They had a new concert special on October 6th on HBO, and I watched that special. I've seen it 3 times now. It is amazing. They are amazing. I don't know how they ever left my life for any length of time. I don't understand what happened. They are hilarious. I can't quote most of it because even when it's clean, it's still not appropriate.
It's not that kind of podcast.
It's not that kind of podcast. That's right. That should be the name of our podcast.
All the things you like are vulgar.
Oh man. But Flight of the Conchords, if you are into their stuff, if you like their stuff before, you'll enjoy this new concert immensely. Man, it's their repertoire. I think when they talk between songs is almost funnier than the songs themselves for me.
Yeah.
Like I like their relationship and the way they chat with each other and how funny that is, and their timing is so good.
Yeah.
They're great. So anyway, it's a silly one. It's whatever, but it was so. Oh, this. You guys might appreciate this one. So the first time when we started watching them, so they came like their first big stuff was like 2006, and that's when we were starting to hang out. And my wife hated them, like always hated them. This time I got her to watch the entire thing, and she laughed the whole way through it. So I take that as a sign that my wife is becoming a better person. 12 years. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what's happening.
I think that's what happened.
She's maturing in her comedy
At
taste.
the very least, her sense of humor is getting better. I know that. So
That's awesome. That's really funny.
She's made me a more gracious and kind person, but I've made her funnier. So that's good. Like I think you just take, in a marriage, you just trade off where you could trade off,
I remember when I first heard them. I can still remember it. I was like, what is happening? Who are these people?
That's exactly the right
response. I sent it to everybody.
Yep.
Did you guys see that whatever the award show that Michael Che and Colin Jost hosted?
The Emmys, yeah.
The Emmys. Did you watch it?
No.
Really?
I watched parts of Michael Che's stuff.
It's too old, so it couldn't make my gratitude. But Michael Che, he nailed it. It's the best. He made the whole thing into a joke that it was. Anyway, I'll make it one of mine, and it'll go straight into it, and I'll just cross something off. So mine is the Emmys with Michael Che and Colin Jost hosting, and early on, I think it was maybe in his opening monologue, Michael Che says, "My mom, she's not going to watch me on this," and he said, and I asked my mom why, and she said, because it's too many white people, and white people don't thank Jesus enough. But then going through, it was crazy because every single person, like 3/4 of the show, it's all white people winning. And the next, like 3/4 of the way to the show, it's Jeff Daniels just accepted an award.
And he thanked Jesus.
No, he thanked his horse. And Michael Che comes up and says, "I just want to point out that Jeff Daniels just thanked his horse." And they kept going, but it was crazy. It's the first African American that did win thanked Jesus, like an obligatory, and I think only 2 won, like on the televised part. And they both thanked Jesus, but it was just well played, Michael Che. Like
he's so good.
It was just checkmate. Like, check yourself. Like, why? Yeah, why?
Yeah, this is the obligatory too. If you only know Michael Che from Saturday Night Live, you are missing out on one of the best stand-ups alive. Like,
the Netflix stand-up is.
He is so good. He is so good outside of that.
That's why this kind of led into it. Like, you convinced me that Michael Che was somebody worth watching, in the same way you convinced your wife that Poetic Concords are worth listening to. Anywho, so I'll make that my number 3.
Oh, okay. Nice. I thought you were gonna lean in somewhere else.
No, that's good. That's funny. He was really funny, and their throwback special to like the black actors who led to this moment in history was really funny too. Where he went and talked to all these like side characters. That was like really funny from TV shows growing up. I was like, oh man, that's good. That's good.
Okay, I'll go to the next one, which is someday last week, I forget what day it was. I went to see Beyonce and Jay-Z play in concert.
Yeah, I figured that one might show up.
Like, it's not my normal music taste, but I mean, everyone knows who they are, and so my friend had a ticket, and I went. And so the surprising thing, obviously, I like Beyonce. I don't know all her songs, but got into it. But I was shocked at how much I love Jay-Z, especially Jay-Z in concert. That guy knows what he's doing, and his songs are bomb. And like, you could definitely tell the crowd split between like oldies who knew music in the 90s and was like singing along to all his rap hits, and then the people who were young and just knew Beyonce. new music, and I was definitely in the former camp and was just going wild for all the old Jay-Z songs. I actually didn't know he was gonna play like his songs just by himself. And so anyway, it got me thinking like I need to make a playlist of like old rap songs that I know and love, and remember that I grew up on that stuff, and it's in my bones, and Jay-Z is a big part of that. And
hey, when you make that list, you need to send it to me so I can.
Okay, I will.
I've been I'll just put this out there for the whole internet because I would love
for the whole internet.
For the whole internet, for the 4 people who listen to this podcast and whoever else they share this request with, potentially the entire internet. I want a like 30 or 40 song playlist of the history of rap music, like the songs I should know or do know that just traverses time.
That's definitely a playlist out there. I could just send it to you.
So we gotta find that. I gotta get in on that. I've been asking for that for years. It could be 60 songs, I guess, technically, but you know, like and it should be structured chronologically or by influence or whatever, so that I'm not.
I'm almost guaranteed that Questlove has made that playlist.
That would be awesome.
So I'll look for it for you. Anyway, pleasantly surprised. Beyonce is great, obviously, but I like Jay-Z a lot.
That's cool. That's cool. How crazy is the show part of it?
Oh, nuts. Okay, first of all, was not expecting there to be fire involved. And there was like these like fire bursts, and my face was like, what? And then what I also didn't realize is in the background they're playing this movie. So in between songs, you're like watching this, scripted movie that they're in. They're not speaking, obviously, because there's music playing over it. But it's like it was this gorgeous, like, they're like drug lords in this beautiful like South American island, and people are chasing them. I mean, the tour is called On the Run. So we're like watching this movie, and sometimes I'm like, forgot there was singing involved, like that they're gonna come back out on the stage and sing. So I was like so invested on what's like happening in this movie. Cool. So just like there were all these elements, and then they were standing on the stage that they had been using for like the first few songs, and then didn't realize the stage was gonna like pop up and move, and then it moved to the middle of the crowd. We went above the crowd and like ended up in the middle, and I was just not expecting that. I was not in the middle. I was like up in the nosebleeds. And anyway, the elements were awesome. I mean, the pageantry was exactly what you hear about. It's worth seeing. And then
it reminded me of a church question I had.
Oh,
can I ask you guys this question?
Yeah.
I was at a funeral, and somebody, but it was at like a huge like mega church type venue. And the pastor preached his sermon, but while he preached his sermon, the keyboard player from the worship team just played keyboards over it the entire time.
Oh, Lord.
Have you ever done that or seen that before?
People do that to me when I pray.
Yeah. I have a hard time praying when that happens.
Yeah.
Like it's so distracting to me. I can't imagine trying to preach.
Yeah.
With like the keyboard is just trying to match the emotion of the sermon, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, the keyboard player came out to play. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a really short sermon.
If he's gonna be out there, yeah.
But it was like a regular sermon.
Oof. No, I don't like that.
Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah. I haven't seen that.
Me neither. We don't go to those kind of things.
It might make me a better preacher though. That's what I was trying to think. Like maybe if I lay down some tracks behind me.
Yeah, soundtrack. Yeah. You try it and let me know how it goes.
Maybe not.
Maybe does he always do that? That makes me wonder.
I have no idea. But like, have you guys seen the TV show on ESPN High Noon?
No.
So it's Bomani Jones and Pablo Torre have this like, it's just like a conversation show about sports, and it used to be like an hour long, but the first week of the show, like the first 15 minutes of the show was just this conversation back and forth and like high quick talking, and they just had music play underneath it the whole way through. And I remember then thinking like, oh, that's a lot of music that adds like this level of intensity to their conversation that isn't there in their conversation, and they can't hear the music, so they're just talking. And I remember thinking like, that's weird. I wonder when churches are going to start doing something like that. And then I was at this church that was doing it, and I was like, that's really.
Oh, I think it might be new. That's why we haven't seen it.
I think I'm thinking it's a new development in preaching or teach, like, or just like talking, that the music behind you can set a sort of tone that you're, and then you end up speaking to that tone. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it a lot. I was just curious if you guys had seen it.
It kind of makes sense because it's like a soundtrack, you know.
Yeah.
It makes me think it makes me think of that song "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. You know, like when he's basically just giving a sermon or a talk or a testimony or something.
Yeah. But it's the track underneath it.
And it crescendos and dips and dives and stuff. There's potential, but I think I would have a really hard time.
Right.
And you have to be a really talented. I've seen people like when somebody's preaching, somebody's painting. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. I can see that, and that's less distracting, I would think, for a preacher.
Yeah.
Quiet. You can still have your be in your own thoughts, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was impressed by it in a certain way. Yeah. I don't know that I could do it. Like that's the part that made it was like I was impressed on the I don't think I could actually do that. But I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I wasn't trying to make a claim on it yet, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
But your point about like the movie where they're talking but you don't hear them talk because it's just the sound.
Yeah.
It's like that's what made me
music. Yeah.
That's crazy.
You're up, Greg.
That's a huge concert.
Yep. Very big.
All right, my next one is actually kind of I'll do it as two separate ones, and then that'll work more sense. Okay, so on Saturday, you guys know my kids a little bit. Calvin is my 16-year-old, and Calvin started running cross country as a freshman in high school, and he'll probably listen to this podcast, so I'll clean this up a little bit. But he was terrible. He was just he just had like. He's a fast kid, and he's always been fast. So when he signed up for cross country, I'm like, oh, he'll be a fast cross country runner. And then he just wasn't. He was just really slow and just didn't run well. And so I would have conversations with him, and we'd talk about it. And I sort of did the reverse psychology thing and told him, well, you're going to quit in 3 weeks anyway. So let's not get too invested in it. So then he of course, went through the whole season and ran the whole time. And he got a little bit faster, but he was not running fast at all. And I was like, man, this is so weird. This doesn't make sense. And then he started this year and he ran track and he's been running and he's been working really hard. And then he got to this year and he started out the same way, just running he's running a 5K and he was running it in 24 minutes or whatever. And it's that's not terrible, but it's not terrible for me if I ran an 8-minute mile, but I'm not training all the time and I'm in terrible shape, right? But as a 16-year-old, you're like, you got to be able to beat 8 minutes a mile for a 5K. And so we would talk about it, and it just seemed like there was a mental block because in practices he was running better times and all that, but just when he got to races. And then a couple of weekends ago, he ran a 21:52, which was his best time ever. I was like, oh, finally, Calvin, you're starting to come down, making more sense. And then last Saturday, so I got to go to this race. And he's like, I'm going to break 21 this week. I'm going to break 21 this week. I'm going to break 21. I was like, well, we'll see. Right. I don't want to get too on the hype train ahead of time. And so he ran and I had the clock going on my side, watching it, and he finished. And I'm like, holy crap. I think he might've broke 20.
Whoa.
So we got up and sure enough, he ran a 19:43.
What?
And so he had broke his personal best by 2 minutes. And I was like, oh man, he's just had some kind of breakthrough finally. And so anyway, I wanted to give him a shout out because he's been working so hard at it. And it's it's so cool to see it finally kind of click for him, It's been so much fun. And he's been flying high all week since then.
Yeah.
So it's cool to watch that happen to you. So I'm really proud of him. And I just wanted to put that on the podcast for him. So
that's awesome. You got some athlete kids over there, Greg.
Yeah, it's crazy time.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Whoa, easy, B. Easy, B. I was a pretty good athlete. So.
That's a really funny joke, Greg.
No, that's not funny. I'm still a good athlete. I'm just terribly out of shape and overweight, but I'm still a good athlete. I still do some athletic things, man.
I think it's interesting that the mental walls are bigger than physical.
Yeah,
it's crazy because the same thing happened with me in cross country. I was wicked slow and just I would do really good in practice, but it all it took was the number one runner on my team just to say, hey, pick your head up, pick somebody, stick on their back, and then try and pass them at the end.
Yeah,
and somebody that that you can beat.
That's what we did. That's exactly what we did.
And so, it because forever the 4-minute mile.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, exactly.
It was never broken. And that one dude, I forget who it was
Bannister.
Jesse.
Yeah,
Bannister. I don't remember, but somebody.
No, I just told you it's Bannister. That's who it is.
It's Bannister.
I don't remember.
Roger Bannister. he broke it, and then everybody broke it.
Yeah.
Like, and then everybody was. It was crazy. It's crazy that
Yeah, it had never
the
been broken.
walls are up there.
Roger Bannister broke it, and then it got broken 25 times in that same year.
Jeez.
And then
Isn't
it's
that
been broken like a
insane?
bunch of times since then. It's,
Yeah.
There's somebody has said, and I don't know if it's true or not, but like the biomechanics of it, the human body could actually run a 2-minute mile.
What?
It's just that
It's all mental.
it's our brains won't let us do it.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy.
That's
I don't know if
crazy.
it's true. I don't know if it's true.
I don't know if it's true.
But I know my kid's brain got turned around, and all of a sudden he started flying. So I'm pretty excited for him.
That's awesome.
And we'll see how that goes. He has districts this weekend, and it's too bad that it's like this late in the season because it's almost over. But he's pumped for track and all that stuff. So I'm really proud of him.
Yeah,
So Calvin, if you're listening, that's a big shout out on the podcast.
Yeah, good job, Calvin.
Word.
All right, Jay, what do you got?
I think I want to. I guess Austin City Limits, the television show, is back.
Whoop, whoop.
And I love that television show.
Yeah.
And St. Vincent kicked it off this season,
Nice.
and she's amazing. The reason I hesitate for a second is because she's really scantily clad. Like she dresses herself, and her whole stage presence is she's dressed up her supporting musicians. The two men have like these things over their faces, so they look like mannequins, and then the bassist looks like a mannequin, but she shows her face. And then St. Vincent she's dressed as a mannequin too, like a Victoria's Secret mannequin or something. I don't know what her problem is, but
so we should listen to the podcast version of this.
Yeah.
Thanks for the warning.
I just love music television. That always comes up. I just love that Austin City Limits continues to produce these amazing shows. Musically, St. Vincent's ridiculous. I think I'm a really big fan, and I didn't even know it's kind of like you and Jay-Z. I know I liked her, but as I was listening to her, I really like her because she's got like all my favorite musicians are simple, like, because I love blues roots kind of stuff, just good hooks and good vocals. That's about and a good beat always helps out too. But I'm actually probably more prone to liking just a good hook. And she's amazing at writing hooks. Like she does little riff, don't like arpeggios. She just does like simple little rock arpeggios, and it captivates me. I was impressed. I was really impressed with this Austin City Limits, and I can't wait for the whole the season. Next up is the guy that you turned me on to. What's that old dude? Crazy as a loon. Crazy as a loon. John Prine, yeah.
Are you serious?
John Prine is the next
awesome.
this Saturday or Friday or whatever it is.
Saturday. All right.
Because he's got a new album out, and that thing's good too.
All right.
It's really good.
I'm on it.
I'm gonna write that one down too. I'm gonna listen to that. Okay, I love that show, Jade. I actually didn't know they did seasons. To me, it's just always on.
I think they do seasons. I think it's 44 or 48 or something. I think that's the only reason I know there's seasons. It says like season or like season something and then episode something.
How did we never go to one? We lived
an hour
away.
It's true.
Yeah.
When we visit Greg, when we both go visit Greg,
there we go.
We'll leave him for Austin.
You know what? We're going to be big enough at that point that they'll have us do our podcast live after a concert. That
like a commentary in between.
Yeah, we'll interview
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. My next one, let's see. I'll do the book I read. I mean, it's barely a book. It's a speech that Henry Nouwen gave that they turned into a book. And it's called Spirituality of Fundraising. And
that's amazing.
Have you read it?
Yeah.
Oh man, it took me like maybe 30 minutes. So you can get it in book form, but I was recommended it to it just because a lot of mine are having to do with volunteers, but I was having trouble with just a good vision of how to ask a volunteer, and maybe I was to be part of our ministry, or maybe I was being too hesitant, and. So my friend recommended this in substitute fundraising for recruiting. And it was just, I mean, it for what it is for fundraising also, it's very powerful. And it kind of asks you the questions like, why are we so awkward about money? Why are we so awkward about asking people for their time or their energy in my case? And this is a vision of the kingdom of God. Like these are important issues, and you're inviting someone into something really great into your ministry, and approach it that way, and not like, oh, I hope you have the time to maybe come by and visit or whatever. It's like, no, I'm inviting you into something so powerful. And anyway, so I would recommend that book. Any Henry Nouwen book I've read is just off the charts. And so this is a speech he gave at one point, and I just recommend it. I'm recommending all Nouwen books, but I just read this one, and once again, it was amazing.
Quick read. You can find it for free online. There's like a PDF.
I bought it. Oh, I should have just done that. I took it to the retreat, so I'm glad I had the hard copy.
Yeah, but just as a heads up, like if people are looking for it. My good friend Sam Riganini turned me on to this one, and so shout out to Sam on that too. But yeah, a great kind of. I think it's the sort of thing that all Christians should have to read at some point.
Yeah.
In terms of thinking about tithing and giving, and it's just important. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. That's crazy. I've never read it. I want to read it now.
You'll like it, Jason. It's a quick B said.
I like everything.
Everything B said is true. So.
Spirituality of fundraising. That's what it's called.
And just a heads up, I got that book that you recommended a couple times. Surprised by God. I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't started reading it yet.
Yeah.
You know what? This is off topic, but maybe we'll do it after. No, I'll do it now. Actually, I'll make it my fifth. Is mine? Mine next?
It's not your turn.
No, Meg's up.
Okay, forget it then. I'll make my thing my fifth.
All right, make it your fifth.
I'm kicking off all these good things. All right.
No, that's good. That's what's supposed to happen. All right, my fourth one. My fourth one. I talked in my third one about how proud I am of Calvin, and so my fourth one is I'm not as proud of Josh for this accomplishment as I am of Calvin for his accomplishment, just because Calvin's accomplishment took more work. But Josh's accomplishment is yesterday, for the first time, we watched Big Lebowski together. And oh man, Jason, you were not so good.
That's crazy. I watched it with my son like 2 weeks ago, I think.
How in the world did you watch that movie with your son?
Oh gosh.
He's 13. He's 13.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking.
I fast forward through the crazy stuff.
Josh is 17 and a senior in high school. So I intentionally waited till he was a senior in high school.
For the best movie ever.
Yeah. Well, because there isn't some crazy stuff. The whole movie's crazy.
I know.
There are some crazy pages.
I'm just thinking of the ending. Has he seen one of those movies before? A Coen Brothers movie?
No. And I had I just told him, you need to know that this is arguably the funniest movie of all time. And it's not funny in the way Anchorman's funny. I had to give him because he loves comedies, and he really liked Wayne's World. He loves Anchorman. He loves The Office. So he enjoys some of that stuff, and he gets comedy. So I'm like, listen, it's time. All your siblings are out of the house right now. We can sit down and watch this. And so we watched it, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. And when we got done with it, his response is man, there's half of that movie I want to quote at people right now. Then you got it. Then you're good.
You're ready to go out into the world now.
He's ready to go off to college now. I've done my part. It's all I can do.
Boom.
Great dadding, guys.
Yeah. So I'm proud of him. But it's so much fun to watch that with him. And it's so much fun to see the parts that he laughs at and got excited about. And
it was
fun.
A good one.
The funniest part, you guys will appreciate this, because he doesn't know John Goodman.
Oof.
Right. So when Walter shows up and starts talking, he goes, "Where's that guy from? I know his voice." And I was like, "Oh, it's from Monsters Inc." He goes, "Yeah, it's Sully."
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
That is awesome.
He's nothing like Sully in this movie, so
he got that. Sully doesn't talk about Nom very much, but it would be funny. There's got to be somebody who's done this mashup of Walter's lines from Lebowski in the character of Sully. If you took out the audio track of Monsters Inc. and put in Walter yelling about things, that'd be hilarious.
I just saw John Goodman. He was on Kimmel, I think, or Colbert Late Night, whatever. Mm-hmm. Lebowski's the only movie he's been in that he watches.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only thing he likes to watch. That's his only.
That's a movie where almost every scene of that movie is perfect.
Absolutely.
Like it's just like the way it's filmed and shot, and it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
All right.
good. That's a good one.
All right,
That is a
Jason,
good one.
your fifth man.
My fifth, I think it's books that people recommend that I finally get around to reading.
Mostly Greg.
And sometimes it's Greg, but this time it's a shout out to Robert Garcia. And that's
Woo-hoo.
also, it's crazy because a big part of my call into ministry was kind of going the wrong direction, not kind of going the wrong direction when I became a freshman in college, and then feeling there's no way that I could get back. And then a guy named Tony showing up at Cal State Northridge. He ended up being a bassist. He's the bassist of this band. What's the name? It's Sky Park, and then Sky Park. That was the name of the band. Anyway, Tony reaching in and just kind of discipling me, and then me going to college briefing, and this dude named Brennan Manning speaking.
Mhm.
And since that, it was 1992. Since that, I had never read Ragamuffin Gospel. You know
Oh.
the book Ragamuffin Gospel?
Uh-huh.
And Garcia always told me, you should read that book, man. And he also told me to read Redeeming Love. Both of those wicked good books. But anyway, so I'm reading Ragamuffin Gospel with a couple of guys. Love that book. You know, I like it when friends recommend really good books and I don't listen for a long, long time. I
like
read them and go, oh, okay, I get it. I see where you're going.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I'm enjoying Ragamuffin Gospel. So
That's
shout out to Greg and to Rob.
Yeah.
Garcia. Yeah.
I love that guy.
And you've done it with bands, B.
Yeah, I'm not much of a reader as much as those guys are. I do like the music, though.
Oh man.
I'm spinning.
Yeah. Greg just read a book right now.
Yeah.
Just brushing up on the Potter series.
Yeah. You guys are the worst. You guys are the worst. I'm taking my fifth one back. All right, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Here's mine. So I recommended a pod last week called Hysteria, which, you know, check it out. Don't check it out. I don't care. But they do this segment called Hill I'm Willing to Die On.
Oh yeah.
And they're always like minor. I mean, that's the whole point, is it can't be a mountain. It's just a tiny hill where you're like, I am going to the grave with this picadillo, and everyone needs to know about it. So I wanted to do that with you guys since we don't really do B-sides anymore. It's kind of my B-side. And I might be bringing this up more than once because they did it as just one thing for one of their first pods, and it was so popular. They do it every time now. So we might have to steal that from them. So I'll give you guys a minute to think of what is this minor hill that you're willing to die on, because I knew
no need for the time, B.
Oh, okay.
I've got a list.
Okay. I was going to tell you mine.
Tell me yours first. I got mine. I'm good to go.
Mine is really dumb, but it happens to me every single time. But I am convinced that no one actually knows how to open an envelope. And every time I do it, it looks like I just put it through a shredder. Like, how am I supposed to open this? And I always cut myself, and there's got to be a better way to send letters. There's got to be. And opening envelopes is too hard. That's the hill I'm willing to die on.
Listen, that's good. I like that one, and it's true. And the letter industry is just falling apart. So that's like this is not going to last. This is not a pain that our grandchildren are going to know. So
okay, good.
Load off.
Yeah.
The hill I'm willing to die on is, we should not have to have forced conversations. So, if you're getting your hair cut, you should not have to talk to that person. That's ridiculous. If you're at the dentist, you shouldn't have to talk to your dentist. That's not why you're there. There's a bunch of times in our lives where we're just forced to talk to people, and they have power over us because of the context, and that's ridiculous. Stop talking. Cut my hair.
I could not agree more, Craig. And I love talking.
I know. I like talking to people.
To accuse people. I'm not into it right now.
Yep. That's a hill I'm willing to die on.
That's funny. Just this past Monday, I got my hair cut, and the dude didn't say a word, and I tipped him huge.
Yep.
I was like, I'm like, dude, that's how it's done.
The other one is like
my favorite haircut. Yeah.
It's the same thing. They shouldn't talk to you either. Like, Yeah. Oh, that's good, man. That's good, Jason. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
This might be crossing some line, but this is the first thing that popped into my head. They shouldn't make low flow toilets.
Yeah.
And people who use low flow toilets should think about wherever they put paper.
Where they put it?
Where they put the paper. It's like the hill I'm willing to die on. I never want to walk up to a toilet again. And I have 2 women in my house. I got a little girl and my wife. And I have 2 low flow toilets. And I never want to walk up to a toilet bowl again and look in there. In the dry part, there's just a pile of wet, soggy toilet paper. Just put it in the water. Put it in the hole. Just aim it.
Just aim it. Just aim it. You're right. You're right.
That's all that has to be done. It's like maybe 4 or 5 inches.
Yep. Just a little bit of effort.
Calculation. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's so funny because the roles have been reversed. For years, people have been telling men to aim a little bit.
I know. That's a good call.
Here we go.
Wow.
There we go. Who knew?
Sorry if that's too gross.
Hey, that might be the single most feminist moment of our podcast. Everything's equal now. Everybody has to aim.
Everybody equally needs to aim.
That's correct. Good work, Jason. I'm with you. Okay. All right, my 5th one. Thanks, B. That was fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My 5th one is the Book of Job, and in particular, John Walton. He's an Old Testament professor at Wheaton. If you have not run across John Walton's stuff, you need to do it. He's amazing. He's really fantastic on the beginning of the Bible, particularly Genesis 1 through 2. He's got some amazing ways of reading Genesis 1 and 2 that sort of circumvent the evolution versus creation argument and makes way more sense scripturally, I think. And then secondly, his stuff on Job is brilliant. If you just go to YouTube and look up John Walton Job, you'll find a ton of stuff, and it's amazing. Like he's got an entire like basically a class on Job that you can watch. There's like 20 episodes or something, and then there's also just longer talks of him talking about Job. He also wrote a commentary for the NIV application series or something, but I haven't read that. I just know his talks on Job are fantastic. So shout out to technology and to John Walton for using it to teach us about Job, and then shout out to me stealing all of it during my preaching series on Job. So it's just Job's been really good for me. It's been important to read right now, and so it's personally been helpful, but going through the stuff with John Walton's been great. So huge shout out to that. If you are a pastor or a preacher, or you just want to read Job better, please listen to John Walton. It's an amazing read of that book. So
awesome.
Yep.
That's an amazing one.
So,
that's really, really good.
I promise you, there's like a 45-minute lecture he does that's like how to read Job, and I
just love that. I feel like you're like whatever the picture at the end, the closer. That's what it is. That's the closer right there. I love that you're continually reading out into where God usually is calling me. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I really think that's cool that that you're throwing really deep, good stuff out there.
Well, take a listen to him, Jay. You'll really appreciate it. You'll really appreciate it.
I love that life application series. That's one of my favorite commentaries. I think it dips into the Greek, and then it mainly leans towards life. I like that.
I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. I'm pretty sure that's the one he's writing on. Yeah. So if you take a look at it. But if you listen, it's super easy. It's on YouTube, so you can like throw it on your car while you're driving without watching it, but listening to it, and it works pretty good.
I'm still trying to do the podcast thing.
Oh my gosh!
I'm going to do it now. I think I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to drive for 45 minutes.
This is the one, man.
I'm going to listen to your what's it called? The Hysteria.
All right.
I'll probably end up listening to Def Leppard Hysteria.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Full admission. Sorry.
All right. So good to talk. Yep. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Remember, if you enjoyed this, if you had fun with us, come back next week, subscribe, and let your friends know about it. Yep. Awesome. So good to talk to you guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.